Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Wreckingball. Written and illustrated by Jeff Kinney. March. Sunday. I've read that in ancient times they used to bury kings and pharaohs with all their possessions. Back then, I guess they thought that you could take all your things to the afterlife. Well, if I get buried with all my junk, I might really regret it later on. Mum's having me do some spring cleaning to get rid of the things I don't need. Well, that seemed like a good idea until I realized how much stuff I've actually got. I spent the whole morning going through my closet, and it's crazy how much was packed in there. And it's not all organized or anything. I've basically been throwing things in my closet since we first moved in. Digging through my closet was like going through time. The farther back it took me, the further back in my childhood I went. The stuff near the front of the closet was all junk I tossed in there over the past year, like homework assignments and comic books. But after I got those things out of the way, I started finding stuff I forgot about. I found a model rocket I got for my 10th birthday, and a costume I wore for Halloween a few years ago. But there was a bunch of other stuff that I didn't even know I still had. When I dug a little deeper, I found something I thought I'd lost years ago. It was a binder full of stickers I collected in 3rd grade. I used to be obsessed with stickers, especially the scratch and sniff kind. I collected all the good smells like bubblegum and cotton candy and all sorts of things. But I had all the really gross ones too. So when a kid on my street wanted to know what giraffe poop or rotten meatloaf smelt like, they'd come to me. One of these days, I'm going to write an autobiography, and it's going to include scratch and sniff Snickers to mark all the different moments of my life. And that's when I realized I stepped in dog poop. Scratch here. I kept digging through my closet and found stuff from kindergarten, like a fish I made, tracing my hand in my construction paper. I used to love doing arts and crafts back then, but if anyone ever tried to bully me about it, they'd get a face full of glitter. Another project I found in my closet was a gift I made for my mom in preschool, but never gave it to her. It was a paper flower with a picture of my face in the middle, glued to a popsicle stick. When I made the thing, I put it in a little clay pot, filled it with dirt, but I tripped on the front step when I got home from school that day, and that's why I never gave it to her. Trip, smash! I was glad when I finally reached the back of my closet, but to be honest, I was a little disappointed too. When I was younger, I read this book about these kids who could visit a whole different world by going through their closet, and I always wondered if I might be able to do that same thing with mine. But I thought that whoever lived on the other side might not be too happy for me tossing all my junk in there over the years. When I told Mum I was done emptying my closet today, she said I needed to put everything into 3 piles. 1 to keep, 1 to donate, and 1 to throw away. But I figured if I had to let go of any of my junk, I might as well make some money off it. So I decided to have a yard sale. Mum thought that was a great idea, so she gave me the magazine that had all sorts of tips for how to do it right. All the ideas in the magazine were corny and old-fashioned, though. There was one section on how to create a sign to get people to come to your yard sale, and all the examples showed were really boring. Cool stuff sale. Look, yard sale. This way. Yard sale, Saturday, 8 to 11 p.m. I knew that if I wanted people to actually show up at my yard, I needed to do something a little more eye-catching. So I whipped up a sign I knew would do the trick. $100 bill found on sidewalk. Please come to 12 Surrey Street to claim your prize. I made a few copies of my sign and headed out to post them around the neighborhood. But Mum stopped me before I got out the front door. Mum made me make signs that were more like the ones in the magazine, and after I finished, I stapled them to some telephone poles on our street, then hauled everything down from my bedroom and started settling it all on some plastic tables. Each table had its own category, like clothes and books and that kind of thing. But some stuff wasn't easy to categorize, so I had to get creative. I had a bunch of gifts from my grandparents and older relatives that I've never even touched, so I put all those things on a table. I also had a bunch of birthday cards that were still in pretty good shape, so I used some whiteout to cover my name and set them out on their own table. Pre-written birthday cards, just to add money. I put all my broken toys on another table and hoped some little kids who couldn't read would come to the yard sale. Fun toys. You break it, you buy it. I stuffed all my random items like marbles and a few pencil stubs into some tube socks and thumbtacked them to the table. Mystery socks. $. What's inside? I also created a table full of things for people who had money to burn. Vampire bat shield, invisibility lotion, freckle remover, rare items, serious buyers only. I put all my old arts and crafts projects on their own table, just in case some kids needed a gift for their parents, but didn't want to put in the time. While I was finishing up, Mum came outside to check the yard sale, and she seemed pretty impressed. But she said I should hold on to the things I made myself, since that stuff is really special. I told Mum if she wanted something, she could always buy it herself, so she offered me $3 for the paper flower I made for her in preschool. Mum seemed pretty eager to have that thing, and I told her it was worth more than $3 to her. So I told Mum it was all hers for 10. I guess I pushed my luck, though, because she went back inside without buying anything. While I waited for customers to show up, I started getting a little nervous. I realized all my stuff was just lying out in the open, and I had no way to stop people from stealing it. So I called my best friend, Rowley Jefferson, and asked him to come down and be my theft prevention officer. But Rowley said that he was supposed to do something with his dad this afternoon, so he couldn't help me with the yard sale. I told him I'd promote him to theft prevention manager, and he'd even get to wear a badge. Luckily, that did the trick. As soon as Rowley got to my house, he started asking about that badge. All I could find was my old firefighter costume. That seemed to make him feel important. Rowley asked what he was supposed to do as a theft prevention manager, and I said mostly he needed to walk around and crack his knuckles to make sure no one got any funny ideas. But Rowley wasn't paying attention to my instructions because he was distracted by a table that had a bunch of birthday gifts he had gotten for me over the years. I'm pretty sure Rowley's mum picks out the presents since they're always things that help you learn, and they're all still in mint condition because I haven't actually opened any of them. I don't know what made Rowley madder, the fact that I was selling this stuff, or the sign I put on the table. Gift for nerds. Rowley said I couldn't sell those things because they were gifts. I told him they were mine, so I could do whatever I wanted with them. And we got into a big tug-of-war over the magnet fun set. That's when our first customer started to arrive. I told Rowley we could argue about this later, but for now we need to act like professionals. At first, just a few people showed up, but after a while, a lot more came, and they started checking out my stuff. I went into yard sale mode. The craftsmanship on this porcupine is remarkable. One lady seemed interested in a collector's coin that I got from my uncle, but she complained that it was dented. So I thought fast and told her the reason it was dented was because it stopped a bullet in World War II. Ching! She didn't seem to believe me, though. Probably because of the coin was dated last year. I spent a lot of time trying to close that deal, and I started worrying that people were stealing behind my back. Unfortunately, my theft prevention manager was totally useless because he was busy playing with the magnet set. Click! I told Rowley he'd better start doing his job, but Rowley said it wasn't a real job anyway because he wasn't getting paid. I explained that I hadn't sold anything yet and didn't have any money to pay him with. So he said he was leaving. I told him he could pick out one item from any table and that could be his payment. Rowley seemed pretty excited about this idea, and I thought for sure he'd choose the magnet set, but he headed straight for the rare items table instead. I explained that those things were for paying customers only, and that maybe he'd be interested in something from the fun toys table. But Rowley wouldn't budge. Eventually, he settled on the vampire bat shield, and I was okay with that, because it was really just a broken umbrella. But now Rowley was so worried about bats that he couldn't concentrate on his job. While Rowley was fooling around with his stupid umbrella, I saw a guy take an action figure on the collectibles table and stuff it in his pocket. So I ran over to deal with him. But the only thing that were in the guy's pocket were some used tissues and car keys. I was glad I was staying alert, though, because I headed off a major disaster. A pickup truck pulled along the curb, and some guy from Worley Street started pulling my stuff into the back. I asked him what he was doing, and he said that since tomorrow was trash day, he thought the stuff by the curb was up for grabs. But I didn't have time to explain the concept of a yard sale to this guy, because all of a sudden I had an even bigger problem to deal with. It started to rain, and everyone was heading back to their cars. I was worried I might never get this many people to come to a yard sale again, and I wanted to sell something to make all the effort worth it. So I went around and marked down the prices on every item. Then it started really raining, and I knew I was going to have to do something drastic. I threw a bunch of stuff into boxes and offered them even bigger discounts, but by then it was too late anyway. I knew if I didn't get my stuff inside, it was going to get ruined, so I asked Rowley to keep his umbrella over the most valuable item. I ran everything else into the garage, but Rowley wasn't any help at all. He said his shift had just ended and it was time for him to go home, so I was on my own. I tried carrying a box of comics into the garage, but mind now, the box was soggy and the bottom gave out. It took me about 100 trips to get everything into the garage, but I probably shouldn't have even bothered, because most of my stuff was already ruined. I figured I could still make one sale, though. I told Mum that paper flower was all hers for $3. Unfortunately, by then, she changed her mind.